Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. Hi there. I am your intrepid host this afternoon here in Southwest Georgia on this beautiful Thursday evening at about 7:51 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and I welcome you. And I am just absolutely. It's like whatever's going on in this universe is, as I've been talking about in other videos about people going fat crap cray cray is my favorite favorite way to put it without being ugly or nasty or anything and trying to be hip blah blah blah. I've been watching some of this stuff with the congressional hearings on Strozik, okay? Or Stroz, however you want to pronounce it, okay? I've heard it pronounced different ways. Now, I can admit these things, they're way in my past and all this, and many people already know it, and it's public record, so okay. I've been arrested quite a few times for some of the dumbest shit, but I've also been arrested and sent to prison. And I've had public defenders who coached me better in how to act in court than this butthole who's got 20 years experience in the system and was being so moronic in his own defense. They've got him dead to rights with these texts. And my attorney told me, well, Mr. Dave, no, this is a public defender, probably minimum wage that I had. And God bless him. I'm saying this man knew more than what this guy is being in front of Congress. All he has to do is answer yes or no. And a lot of the congressmen were saying, all I want is a yes or no. But I have to go into, that's a fool's error. You are so guilty. I'm sorry, if you're going to have to defend a yes or no question with maybe something you're going to have to figure out when the man has your text messages on record. And so you're going to sit there as this intelligent human being and say, but that's not what it meant. But you wrote it down. This has got to be some of the most moronic things I've ever seen. And that I've watched a lot of stuff. And I got to tell you, it was moronic. I was trying to think of another word, but it's just plumb moronic. What are you, some kind of maroon? Dude, please. Listen, they got you dead to rights. I've been before judges facing 20 years. I've been coached to the point where, you know, if you just use your common sense, you keep your damn mouth shut. And this guy just kept... And whether you love it or not, this reality show in Congress is by far, hands down, okay, now I can see where my tax money goes. We go for this comedy show. They're being paid. Maybe they're not getting paid enough. You know, actors. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Now, I've been watching other people's reactions to this, and I just can't stop laughing. It's like I even said previously, I said things are going to get so weird. You're just going to have to laugh because it's just so ridiculous. Great. This is so beyond ridiculous. And I'm sorry, I've been a lifelong Democrat until recently. I don't know what I am. I'm not a Republican. I'm conservative and I'm a liberal. I'm a conlib or a libcon. Oh, I hate names. I just want to pick the right person for the right thing. Ain't got nothing to do with them parties no more. But for the Democrats, I'm sorry, me being a lifelong Democrat, I can say this stuff. What the heck are you doing? Apologizing for a man who is obviously guilty of the things he said. And you're sitting there in some kind of pompous something or other. I'm sorry. We're so sorry you had to go through this. No, You're sorry you have to sit through it. And that's your duty because you don't have a question. You don't want to make the Democrats look like you're concerned about the things this man said. If for no other thing, I can't remember who did it. It's probably read a couple of times. The code of honor for the FBI and through the DOJ that was sent to all employees. Now, look, I've worked for corporations and things come in. They say, okay, you're going to work on a project. You can't discuss this, blah, blah, blah. Sign this little thing. Now, it might be just for a project, which is fine. I understand that. As a contract engineer, I can't go around divulging stuff that I'm working on another project, okay? I got that secret. That's their stuff. I can use what I learned from that project and use it over here, but I can't steal directly. It's a complicated thing, and I have no problem with that. I'm being paid to work on their project as an engineer, so I hold it there. All right, but anyway, so I understand this. So if you're sent something around about a code of conduct and you sign it and you're an FBI agent and you're in charge of these things, simply by the fact that you wrote the text to Miss Page or whomever, simply by the fact that you responded in the ways that you did, make you absolutely guilty from the code of standards in the FBI and the DOJ that they read to you. And you, Mr. whoever, Stowstick, what a maroon. You were having an affair and you had the audacity? I'm sorry. If when you're caught, you say, got me, and shut up. This guy's like, well, but he's trying to what? Back out of what's already there? What a maroon. This guy's nuts. And he's supposed 20 years in the business. Look, I've spent my time in jail. I've been before judges. I've been caught with marijuana. I've been caught with, other drugs back in the day. I've spent time in prison. I've been before judges. I've been in the system. And this guy's a maroon. You never open your mouth past yes or no unless you're asked to elaborate. This moronic idiot could not keep his mouth shut. But, sir, I have something. It wasn't a question. But, sir, I have the right to. It wasn't a question. But, sir, a point of order. He has the right to respond. To what? A statement? That shows how moronic this guy is. And another thing, it also shows his guilt. Being in the penal system inside, I can hear to tell you that man's lying through his shirt, through his teeth. And I don't know who that gentleman was that was asking him the question. And then all them Democrats and all them folks want to rise up behind Mr. Strozik and defend this thing. When the gentleman congressman, I think, asked him, he said, so what did you're telling us that when you could stay unbiased about this with all the text messages we have. So what did you tell your wife when you went home, knowing you were having an affair? Oh, and they erupted. Well, whoa, that's unfair. No, it's not. There is documentation of their affair. And so we want to believe this man who is dead level. Yep, they had it. Okie dokie. And so the question is, why should I believe you if you went home every night and lied to your wife? To her face. Honey, I'm home. I just got done screwing Miss Page. I'm home. And so do. I thought it was a valid question. I'd want to know. How could you go home with a straight face and lie to your wife? And now you're trying to sit here and you're trying to tell me all these things. Well, but it's different. How so? These are your text These are your text messages. These are yours. Nobody, nobody wrote them for you. You wrote the text messages. You wrote to Miss Page. You and her were having the bonking sessions. Come on. They got this guy dead to rights, and he knows it. But he's so guilty. He is so pompous. He's going to try to talk his way out of what he already did. But it was, oh, but I'm for God and country. Then why were you having an affair with your wife in the FBI, and you were in the lead of both of these investigations, and you want us to believe you had an unbiased opinion? What? What kind of narcotics are you on, sir, would be my next question. And what do you think I'm smoking that's so strong that I can't see through this here nonsense, sir? You're sitting here after coming home from your wife and lying to her about, oh, I love you and I'm all this. And then you go come in here to Congress and try to pass that same lie on to us? Sir, I'm sorry, but I just don't buy your bull crap. I'm not mimicking anybody. That's the southern redneck in me going, and that's being polite. But I'm sorry, sir, from an old hippie in South Georgia, I watched him make the statements. I watched him try to back out of this stuff. The man is lying through his shirt. I'm sorry. And for all the people out there who are going to like these Democrats defending his honor, the man dishonored himself. And you're going to step in and try to stand behind him and apologize for him? You're moronic right along with it. And now you want your constituents to vote for you because you apologized for a criminal and an extramarital affair. Democrats, what is wrong with you? You all have gone back cray cray. The sun is having an effect on you. What is going on with you people? You've lost all common sense and logic. I'm like, wait a minute. Now, when I say you, I'm talking about Congress and some of these people. Okay, you understand what I mean. I'm having a conversation with them moronic people. Whether you like Trey Gowdy or not, for us down here in the South, and I've lived here most of my life now, you know, almost all of it. So it's like, I kind of get it. And I love him or hate him, I still love him. And it's sort of like a bulldog that's your neighbor's, but you know the dog's good protection around the family, but they don't like anybody else, you know. It's just the family, you know. And it's sort of like that. Or I had a little poodle dog that I was given to be my friend, and this dog needed saved. And Sasha was her name, and she was the bravest dog I have ever met. Would swim through the swamp to find me. I mean, unbelievable. But if somebody tried to attack me or something, she would go after her like, ah! Like a little pit bull. Ah! I'm talking about, it didn't matter what this thing was. Little Sasha would be protection. And anyone around me that we were friends of Sasha's, you know. And this is a little dog, you know. That's what Trey Gowdy is. And he hit the nail on the head today, folks. I'm here to tell you he hit the nail on the head. Because the man who should have said absolutely nothing but yes or no was instigated into all this chaos in Congress. Now, there are people saying, oh, that was disgusting, and oh, that's horrible action. No, that's freaking great. Man, we pay these people good money. The least they could do is give us a good show. Don't you agree? Come on now. Let's see what you're made out of here. You know, all right, Mr. Strozik, it says right here that this order here and this order there and that one and this one and this one. Is that true? Sir, this is the FBI code order. Do you know about this, sir? I'm aware of it. Sir, you're FBI, sir. Oh, I see. Somebody's writing something. I'm on a rip roaring rant today. Hey, Miss Phoebe. Hey, Miss Phoebe. Hey, Mr. Wade. Can you anyone say why there would be a FEMA tractor trailers in my town? About 20 trucks in my town going down I-40 towards Durham. No disaster here that we know of. How many? About 20 semi-trucks, trailer trucks? Holy crap, no. And it's going down I-40. That's heading west. 40 goes east and west, right? To Durham. Durham would be east of you, Phoebe, I'm guessing. I don't know. I haven't heard. But that's something to, you know, if anybody listens to this, there's some stuff, FEMA trucks going towards Durham. Okay. Nope, haven't heard. Maybe if anybody does, we'll find out, and I'll do something if I find out. I know there's some weird stuff going on. Absolutely. But anyway, so my point with this Congress mess today, I think that has got to be the greatest in history of some of what's going on with our government. And for those of you who think that the questions by the Republicans were out of order or out of line, then you need to go back in and look at the IG statement. Now, was stated that, now here's the thing. Whoever the gentleman was that was questioning him, Mr. PS, was that he said, you know, you're in the criminal field. You understand about collection of data, and you understand the procedures, don't you, sir? Yes, sir. That was a yes or no question. He didn't elaborate. Didn't have to. Then he says, okay, well now, so if you can base a case on circumstantial evidence if you can tie enough of it together to get a broad picture of something to help build your case. Is that true, sir? Well, little hesitation there. But yes, I think, well, I'm not quite under, but you understand that it's in the procedure. Yes, sir. Okay, well, I'm fine. And so the gentleman goes on. He said, so in our case, we have this collective of information that is being shown as a whole. Now, the congressman who looked into the thing, and he said, now it says here the IG said, and I asked him personally, he said, I asked the IG personally myself, do you have any direct information? In other words, that they made a public statement against Trump or something like that. These were private emails and text messages. So privately versus publicly. So the IG said, no, it wasn't a public bias, but it was. So the next question the congressman said, what do you think of the bias on a non-public basis, meaning just personal and or whatever? And he goes, most definitely, yes. Most definitely, yes. And so when he was asked a yes or no question to this, Mr. PS had to go off on a rant, libtard, something. I don't know what this, Republican, whoever he is, he went on the moronic side. He should have shut up. Instead, he had to pursue it. And then the congressman said he made a closing statement, and then PS had to say, but I want to respond to that. No, it was a statement, not a question. And so now these other Democrats are going to argue the point for PS, which we should call him POS maybe, that he's debating the facts because he wrote the text, for God's sakes. What is wrong? And I think Trey Gowdy and them, they need to hammer this guy. He is a disgrace. He's a disgrace by answering anything other than yes or no. Now, I watched Lionel earlier, and he did an afternoon live show kind of thing off the cuff. And I got to say, go to Lionel Nation on YouTube and listen to him. He's got it as a prosecutor, as an attorney, as a, knowing judges and the system. He had me on the floor because I was sitting here as I was watching it going, oh my God, I can't believe this moron is doing this stuff. And these other moronic people are told to defend him at all costs. There is no defense. It's already there. They simply want to put it in a congressional record. Yes or no, Mr. PS? Yes or no? Oh, blah, 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 blah. Guilty. What about this, Mr. POS? Blah, blah, blah. Yes or no? Blah, blah, blah. Yes or no? Blah, blah, blah. It's my time, Mr. POS. Blah, blah, blah. Guilty. Come on. If you can't see this charade, it's not Congress. Congress is drawing this out, okay? I think it's hilarious. I love it. If over in England and in Thailand or something, in some of their congresses, these guys have had fisticuffs down on the floor. If I'm almost to the point of we're going to need a real show enough tough guy referee because somebody's going to jump over the table, And this is our society. This is where we've come. But the moronic attitude of these people. And now I mean, I'm already the mainstream weirdness is like, POS it should be given a Purple Heart. He should be given a Purple Heart for all the wounds to his heart that happened this afternoon. It was on live stream banners and stuff. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. Give POS a Purple Heart because he has served his country, and this is just beyond the pale. Yeah, beyond the pale. I projectile vomited further than the pale was. Come on, folks. I mean, hey. So this has got to be. Oh, if you don't find this funny, I'm just like, come on. He's already guilty. He's already guilty. This was a matter of formality. It should have been handled with a lot less stress, etc. I mean, even Mr. Comey, when he was there, he acted a gentleman. No matter how hard they try to push him, he stayed in his zone. This guy got rattled. He got snazzed. He got razzed, and so did all his colleagues right along with it. That's what Trey Gowdy is. If you don't live down here in the South, and I'm not mocking Polk, I'm from the South, damn it, I can speak this way. But when you living down here in the South, and you start wanting to know an answer from somebody about the best thing to do is drop that man's drawers and pour honey on his stuff, and then move a hive of bees in and ask him if he wants to answer any questions before the interrogation begins. These folks don't play down here, If they're seeing through this stuff, Trey Gowdy is made of that stuff. I'm not saying he's any kind of KKK or not. No, he's a Southern boy, and Southerners understand the pride. A lot of now. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of nasty Southerners, but those of us who wish to be Southern gentlemen take high offense to some of this stuff. And a man who's having an affair with his subordinate or whoever, Miss Page, P&P, Peter Page, never mind. To then say it's a low blow to ask me how I could go home every night and lie to my wife, and whether or not that relates to his testimony today. If you can go home with a straight face and lie to your wife about, everything's fine at work, honey. I just got done, porking this Page. Okay, but everything's fine, honey. So you lied to her. And we're supposed to sit here as the Congress and as gentlemen as this person was, And if he is a Southern gentleman, which it sounded like he was, he may have been from Louisiana. Don't quote me, but there was a Southern tone to his voice. And I thought to myself, yes, sir, ask that question. How can you have an affair and go home to your wife and expect, when you lied to her every night, and how can you expect me, my constituents, wherever they may be, and the public, that you're telling us the truth now? Squirm, squirm, babble, babble. It's my time, sir. Answer yes or no. Blah, 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 blah. Yes or no, Mr. POS. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, time's up. But I want to make a remark. Wait a minute. He just relinquished his time. But I want to make a remark. I'm sorry, sir, but you're out of order. They're trying to use Robert's Rules of Order. I used to know Robert's Rules inside and out. What they were talking about that was out of order, they were just yelling it to stop it. Because if you yell it, then there is a pause in the action. That's part of the game. I was chairman of Robert's Rules when I was doing public speaking. I went to the nationals in the VICA competition, came in 7th. I have a local, and I have the state championship for 1989 in extemporaneous speaking. I have spoken before a large group of crowds in a lot of different subjects. I've given speeches, addresses, all kinds of different things. I'm not new to this, okay? But to the point, though, I understand Robert's Rules of Order, because in order to be an extemporaneous speaker and on a debate team, you have to know these things. You have to know when it is appropriate to make a call, and when it's, as the chairman of the whatever the debate is, it is that officer's duty to follow the rules strictly. Period. They're written down. There are no, but when somebody on the other side, Miss Democrat, goes, but that's out of order. She was just slinging that out. It wasn't out of order. It wasn't out of order of the questioning. The lady from whoever she was who was yelling it's out of order, she in fact was the person out of order because of her interruption. Period. There wasn't anything that he was asking, and they were trying to say that some of the questioners, who are Congress people, were asking questions that should not be asked of him, because of the Congressional Code of Ethics. And several of the other people kept saying, but he's not in Congress. But we should abide by the Congressional. He's not in Congress. But the argument, but there is no argument. The rules for Congressional whatever are for the Congress. Doesn't say FBI, doesn't say somebody else. No, it says Congress. So how do you have a point? How can you raise a point of order? You are out of order by a stupid ass question. And you just showed your ignorance by doing so. Now, those who are, I'm sorry, Democrats, I just left the building on the Democrats. Okay. But the more I see these morons acting, I'm like, I let this go for how long? How did these people get into office? Well, thank God some of them they're not from my district, but that's not the point. Somebody should have raised hackles more and said, wait a minute, these people are discussing Robert's Rules of Order when they don't understand Robert's Rules of Orders, because otherwise they would not have interrupted. They're rude, they're crude, they're nasty people who are, when someone's trying to ask a question, they interrupt. Nasty, nasty, nasty little vermins you people are. I'm telling you, you're nasty. And bugger you all for your interruptions. Now, to the point of order, though. I thought that the president of the chairman of the order did an extremely good job under extremely horrible circumstances. I mean, these people screaming and stuff. I mean, somebody's going to take a brass knucks in tomorrow or something. Somebody's going to take one of the little Billy Jack things, and they're going to go with a fisticuffs maybe, instead of just hollering. Now, I'm watching some of these folks in some of the chat rooms, and before I had to get on here, just started laughing and going, come on now. This is wonderfully ridiculous. Watch the show. Now, I don't, I have kept up with Q. And so I'm wondering if this is just a popcorn moment, if you know what I mean. If you follow Q at all, like, okay, but he's all, the comments have always been, sit back and watch the show, watch things unfold. Well, holy mackerel. Now, I'm not saying this is a Q thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it has been said. It's been said by other people too. Wait till this stuff starts unrolling. And it is. And it's unraveling. And it is. And I'm ready to go make some popcorn. So, but the POS has nothing to stand on. And for every time he opens his mouth beyond a yes or no, he is making a mockery of himself. Being a prisoner, being in the jail, I had to sit through court a lot of times just to get arraigned. And I watched a bunch of stuff in person. I've been behind the scenes. I've listened to the judges and the attorneys talk behind, with the doors closed. They ran deals and when they make the deal, it's like you can be in prison for the next 20 years or they'll open the door and get you a taxi ride home, which is sort of what they did to me. So, but that's for another day. But I know these things and see these things. They're there. Big level, little level, they're there. But the thing is this man has 20 years of experience. And this is how he acted. Now, only a guilty man, a truly sure enough, who hasn't accepted the guilt himself, or he's covering for, but they're asking him direct questions. Did you say this, Mr. POS? Oh, I got a reason for yes or no. Come on. Yes or no. That shows that you're a moron. I mean, come on. Because when I was standing before the judge and I was standing before all them folk and there was a jury and all that good stuff, the only thing my attorney says, tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Don't offer anyone any information other than that. Because then you sway public and then you sway the view. Makes perfect sense. And Lionel in his show today, he was like, you do the yes sir defense. Well, they got him dead to rights. Yes, sir. Done it. Do you have anything else to say, Mr. Strozik? No, sir. How can you argue with that? And that's what you're told. A good attorney tells his client. Now, he's got attorneys. He's in the system. He should know better. So instead of going, yes, no, maybe, I'm not sure. Let me check the record. Yes, no, I can't remember. Yes, no. Instead, he has to go off on these flights of fantasy to defend his guilt. He's defending his guilt. How do I know this? I've watched it personally. And I've watched the judges tear these guys down and rip them to shreds. Okay? And these folks in Congress ain't stupid. I applaud. If they were all Republican, well, then I applaud them. For every gentleman and gentle lady, I didn't listen to it all, but who asked a serious question without apologizing. Oh, I'm so sorry you're here, sir. No, he's a degenerate. He should have resigned his office because he broke the code of ethics of the DOJ and the FBI, and he gave a, well, I'm not sure what it reads. You're reading it for me, and I'm assuming that you're correct. And the congressman's like, yeah, I'm reading it right here. I think you can believe that this is the FBI's code of ethics, and you violated them, sir. Yes or no? Yes or no? He did. By having an affair, by sending the text messages he did, he violated his own code of ethics with the FBI. Regardless of anything else, regardless of whether or not he was biased, he broke the rules he specifically signed. I will preserve and protect, and I'll not do this, this, and this. And he did it. And since he was at the top of the heap, who is he supposed to report that he was doing these things? Because the congressman said, well, sir, it says right here in the guidelines that anyone who sees such behavior should report to their group leader or a manager or whatever. And since you're the highest one, where do you report to? Did you report your behavior to anyone? And they jumped up and down and said that was an illegitimate question. Why? I think that's a very legitimate question. That man works for us. And if he's having behaviors that are above and beyond what he promised to do with his signature, they should cut all his pension, all his stuff, wipe him from the record, and kick his butt to the street. Because he broke the FBI code. If no other reason. Boom, get out of here. Write a book and we'll take some of that money back too to pay for all this congressional stuff that we're having to go through because of your stupid ass. That's how this should be treated. If nothing else, is he guilty of treason? Is he guilty of something? He's guilty of breaking his own rules, the FBI's rules. He is guilty of that simply by the facts. And he refused to admit that. No. Sorry, bud. You lose. And you just should have said, yes, sir. What about it? You want me to resign? No, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. And if he wanted to stick with no, did you know of something? No, sir. But why? I just don't think I did. Well, Mr. POS, blah, 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 blah. Yes or no? No, sir. If you keep your responses to that, that's the end of that. How are you going to dig any more? He can't keep his mouth shut. That shows he's a moron. And he's guilty of more than he's letting on. Because he's trying to defend something he's already guilty of. Let me read y'all's comments. I just had to... you know, and this is not about being Republican or Democrat. It's got nothing to do with that. It's having to do with, are these the rules? Did you, yes or no, violate in any way? He did. It's there. So, I mean, I had to stand up there and go, when the judge is asking me questions. Yes, sir. I was in possession of that. No, sir, I didn't take that. Yes, sir, I did do that. Yes, sir, that's true. No, sir, that I didn't have any intent to sell it to anyone. But yes, sir, I was in possession. Blah, blah, blah. Well, if they didn't have any evidence that I was trying to sell it, then my word, that's as far as the questioning was. Well, why did you have so much drugs on you, Mr. No? Well, sir, that's what I had at the time. Period. I'm a junkie, sir, and that's how much I had at the time. And we was hoping that we would get some money to go home, which was the truth, and so that we could score some more. That was all true. Couldn't really be proven, but I did tell the truth, okay? And so it's like, why, when you're guilty and they've already caught you, are you going to try to defend yourself? Now, why did I could have went, well, Your Honor, I was down here in Florida, and, we were, the lady, she called and said, hey, do you have any? See, that's all, the deed's already done. They got your ass in jail. They got the evidence. They got all these other statements. Everything's already there. But when you start trying to defend your guilt, it just makes you more guilty. Any really good judge will boom. I've seen people, sir, I'm sorry, this case is closed. I find you guilty. Bailiff, take him away. But Your Honor, if you say one more word, sir, I will hold you in contempt. And that's what should have happened to POS every time he said, but I want to make a statement, even though there wasn't they should have held him in contempt of Congress and thrown his ass in jail. Because every time he opened up his mouth when he wasn't supposed to be answering a question, when the congressman said, but that wasn't a question. Contempt of Congress. If you do it again, if you do it one more time, Mr. POS, if you interrupt this Congress one more time, you will be held in contempt and taken directly to detention. That's how to handle it. Sergeant of Arms, come get this POS. That's the way it should work. You cooperate. This is the Congress, damn it. This ain't some petty little backwoods something in down here in South Georgia Kangaroo Court. We act better than that. But this stuff, he took lipstick and put guilty across his forehead today. And he told the American people how stupid he really was and how stupid our system is. And Mr. Trey Gowdy helped to draw that out of him. Some of these other wonderful Congress people did their job and asked the correct questions. How can you go home every night and have an affair and smile at your wife? And how can you come and face us in Congress and say that that was a dirty question? I want to know how you pulled it off. I think that's a valid question. How'd you pull it off? So does that mean, how can we tell that you're not lying to us now, sir? I think that's valid. Without being a piece of dirt and trying to bring up, but you would have, it's about the lie. He had an affair. Proven. He went home to his wife. Did he tell her, hey, honey, I'm home from my affair. I'm home from the office. I just porking Mrs. Page, Missy Page. Did he do that? Probably not. Maybe they had an arrangement. Who knows? But from what I understand, she wasn't real happy about it. Now, to that point, there are other people who are probably covering for the both of them. So that means that the people who covered for POS and Miss Page, they are now guilty of association because they didn't report those two's behavior. And I guarantee there are other people in that office that knew them two people was doing and doing it. There ain't no way, if you're anywhere, if I've worked in offices and you can tell, there are little things, people that look at each other in a certain way or out of the corner of the eye. And all you got to do is go, oh, whoa, look at that one. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't want to know, but all right. But see, that right there, because you're FBI and because you signed a document, if you see such behavior, you're supposed to report it. So anyone who covered up just their affair is guilty of breaking the FBI and DOJ rules. Does anybody care? I've been fired for less from a corporation because there was some little thing. And I said, yeah, okay. Well, and I was like, but I didn't mean to. That was sorry, dude. That was the line. And you, even though you smudged the line and you didn't like break out and sell secrets, but you took something home with you weren't supposed to take. I was working on it at home. It was a drawing, for God's sakes. I could have sent it through the email, but anyway, I had it on a disc and they saw me, someone caught me with the disc of the drawings I was working on at home and assumed I was stealing them. No, I was working on at home on my CAD drawings and trying to clean up the drawings because it was in my head and I had to get it out. But I was not supposed to take anything from the premises. I could have sent it, which I should have, but I just backed up all my files on this disk and they caught me with the backup disk. Guilty, fired, bye. You broke the rules. Regardless of why, I broke the rules. I was fired. Now, come on, this guy's broken more rules than that. All right. And what? They're not even, yes or no, Mr. POS? There is no defense. You've already said it. We have the evidence already. And any remarks you made can and will be used against you in a court of law. What is Congress, for God's sakes? So has this been a fun one? Oh, yeah. Is this going to be a memorable day in history? It will for me, because I think that this bat crap cray stuff is just this is just proving my point. It's like these energies are coming in and affecting people in ways that people are like, well, Mr. POS wouldn't have reacted that way. And these people wouldn't have lost their tempers in a normal situation. And then, okay, well, why is this an abnormal situation? What's going on, y'all? Well, there's all this magnetic energy going and all these other stuff I've been chatting about. Oh, well, this has proven sort of my point, that even what should have been a simple matter of true Robert's Rules of Order and procedural congressional hearing turned into this ungodly, believable, fantastic, moronic free-for-all. Blame it on the cosmos. Blame it on the cosmic energy. I love it. But what's happening with this, though? People are like, who may have been on the fence on something, are going to have to go, wait a minute, hang on. Folks are going to have to make some decisions on this. And if they just want to go with the stupidity and the backing up, if you want to believe a man who's already guilty and it's already there, the IG report, the this and this, and you're going to try to defend your bad behavior. How did you explain it to your wife? I really want to know. I want to subpoena his wife. Not out of disgust, but I want to say, Mrs. POS, what happened when you found out about his affair with, Miss P? Oh, well, I wanted to choke the living crap out of him. That would be my respect. You what? And now you're dragging my good name into this. He had an affair. I mean, how embarrassed is she? Does he care? Apparently not. He's still trying to wiggle worm when the answer is yes or no. I say. Let me look what you got here. Let me back up. You keep popcorn in on all the shows. Yes, I got to make some more. I've got a big popcorn popper because I used to be in the carny business, and I've got one that's as big as they have at theaters. It'll make up really good popcorn. There's something going on with the FEMA trucks in North Carolina headed towards Durham. Wait, what? I missed something. Mr. Nolan, countless are approving the supportive content constantly. Now we are transforming Bookface. They never saw a Luna Ash coming. Guy on TV, Netflix, RIP. New email site as well. Encrypted and dupes every night. Even they cannot read your emails. Prayers, Phoebe. Hi, Mark. Phoebe, Pamela, thank you this afternoon. The ridiculousness of this was just so unbelievably ridiculous, and it's like, I haven't really predicted this per se, but in a way, it's like some people, Latai 1983, hello. New here, me too. I'm still doing this. I'm an old bugger with a lot of views. Hi, Mark. Peace as well to all of you. Greetings and salutations. And I was listening to Lionel Nation earlier, and Lionel being the person that he is, and I feel a little affinity to him. He's an ex-Catholic boy and was on the other side of town. I went to Tampa Catholic, and he ended up graduating, I believe, from Jesuit High School. He became an attorney, went to the University of South Florida. I was an old hippie. I was a young hippie back then, but hanging out in theater and stuff like that at the same university, which was only like about 3/4 of a mile from where I lived, okay? So University of South Florida there in Tampa, skateboarded back in the day and played around, that's where we'd go. Had a great planetarium, would go there all the time. So anyway, I feel a little bit of homeboy affiliation with Lionel, but I find that a lot of times his views and even his presentation, and I'm doing a little bit of Lionel tonight, but I'm not trying to mock him or be him or whatever, but I'm allowing my own character to kind of like, some of this stuff is just so damn funny. And it's like, I've gotten many awards as an actor and director and so forth, and I'm very grateful for the gifts that I've been given, and I have given freely of my comedic behavior and all types of different plays and productions as a puppeteer and a storyteller. Humor was my deal, and so for a long time this has like been hidden, and as I'm reawakening that old puppeteer storyteller, humorist that I have been for many years. But then after my brain traumas and all these things of the past few years, all those things were lost to me. I couldn't find them. I couldn't dig up any kind of humor. I mean, I couldn't tell a joke if it was written down in front of me, you know, and I know thousands of jokes. We used to have joke telling competitions, never repeat the same one. And after 3 or 4 hours and going through several, you know, Depends diapers and maxi pads for men, you know, I'm like, I can't make it to the toilet. I'm going to pee my pants. Oh, that was so funny. I've never heard that one before. You know, with just 4 people sitting around a table telling jokes for hours. Well, anyway, so when I see Lionel and I think to myself, you know, he comes across with some of these characters, but the thing is I get it. I know some of these characters, you know, and I don't have to mock them. I'm from the South. I live here, damn it. I'm you know, all the rednecks around me, and they are, and I found out by accident, somebody was, one of my neighbors was a friend of mine, but he's like three miles down the road neighbor, okay? But that's how it is out here in the country. And so we were talking one evening, and I said something about Democrats, Republicans, and he goes, well, you know, you're in the heart of the redneck KKK country, don't you? And I was like, well, I don't see anybody burning crosses or wearing hoods or anything. And he goes, well, they don't have to. And I was like, well, that's good. He goes, but haven't you ever thought about why there ain't a black family lives within 5 miles of here? No, actually, hadn't thought about it, you know. He goes, it might even be 10 miles. And I was like, okay. He said, you see any Mexicans down here in this end of the county? No. Come to think of it, no. You know the school up the road there? How many Mexicans go to that school? I don't know. Not many. Really? And they don't come from this side of the highway, if you know what I mean. And I was like, I knew exactly what he meant, and I knew what highway he was talking about. He goes, you ever wonder why when them Indian folk was staying down there at your place, all the neighbors are all pissed off at you? And I was like, how'd you know about that? I never told you about that. He goes, no, but my neighbors did. He said they was talking about them goddamn Indians you had on your property down there. And I was like, what? I mean, you know, I live on 18 acres. My house is nowhere near the road, okay? And it's a 2-track lane down that's bumpy to get even to my yard, okay? So I live down here on the bottom of this hill on the edge of the swamp. And so for people to know my business, it was only one family. You know, there were 3 people. What? But they knew 4 or 5 miles away that there were them damn Indians down there camping with that hippie down on the river, meaning me. So I was like, he goes, you ever wonder why you don't really have no trouble with nobody? And I was like, no, because I mind my own business. And he says, and that's a damn good thing you do mind your own business too, boy, because that has strung you up like them others. And I was like, what others? He goes, you mean you don't know? He said, never mind. And he turned around and walked away. And that's been recently, okay? So I was like, wait a minute. No, I bought my property years and years and years ago. And I lived in Tampa. I didn't consider, quote, my black friends as black friends. But, you know, neither were they white. You know, it's like, okay, the mixed color, this and that. It never mattered to me. And I hated to even say, well, this is my black friend. But when I had some good friends of mine who worked at the Pebble Hill Plantation many years ago, beautiful family of black folks. Oh, man, barbecue, coleslaw, Southern style. Woohoo! Some good collard greens made the right way. Man, I'm telling you. And I invited them to my house to shoot off fireworks. And I thought the neighbors was going to lynch us all. When I found out later on how there were like cars and trucks driving up and down the road. Well, it was like 9:30 in the afternoon, in the evening, shooting off fireworks. I got a great big field out here, and plenty of space. We weren't hurting anybody. The fireworks were headed over the swamp instead of any houses. And there ain't but 4 houses right near me anyway. And they're up there. And so, but then one of the neighbors had seen these 2 carloads of the N-word black folk coming down my driveway. And so they called the neighbors. So these folks were literally patrolling on the road until they saw those 2 cars leave. And I was told about it later. And I was like, you people are creepy. He goes, we just didn't want no trouble. Not black people now, we just don't want no trouble. And I said, I invited them out here for a barbecue because they have helped me and I've been to their barbecues and to shoot off some fireworks. Now, what's wrong with that's all right, Mr. Dave. That's all right. You mind your own business. You do good, but it's just a good thing there wasn't no trouble. What are you talking about? They came out. We had fun. We played music, shot off fireworks. They went home. That's a good thing, Mr. No. That's a good thing, Mr. Dave. That nothing else happened. Like, what else was supposed to happen? I don't know, but that's the neighborhood I live in, and I'm like, and some of these people are like 5-10 years older than I am. So they're like, they got some of that old redneck in them. Oh, man. And so there's some hard, staunch folks like that. Now, I got to admit, on a lot of the issues that they've been staunch Republicans about, I'm a little like, well, I don't quite feel that way, but now I'm more on their side than I ever realized. Now, is it because I live here? I don't talk to the neighbors. We're cordial, and if something really happened, I think I could probably call one of them maybe, or at least for them to call the ambulance or something. I don't know. They're not bad people. They're just old dog Republicans, Southern, staunch in the hate Indians worse than a black person. Whoa, my gosh. And some of them got Cherokee in them and Creek and Choctaw too, like me. And it's like, and you can see it in them, and they don't like to talk about it. They don't talk about this Indian stuff down there much, even though there is an Indian grave at the top of my driveway, by the way. So anyway, back to the politics of this stuff. I've seen these things of the inside, outside, local level, this level, that level. But when you see it from the backside of the law or whatever, it gives you a whole different perspective on what they're trying to feed you. When you see, when you're in prison with a guy who's admitted, and we're talking about our cases, and then you see him go out there because you're sitting in the waiting room for your chance to go before the judge. And he starts going into this, but your honor, oh my God, this guy, POS, is the same way. So I digressed a little bit. Sorry about that. But being on the inside and seeing folks like trying to lie to get out of something they're so absolutely guilty with. The best bet, and I was told, I followed my public defender's wise and wonderful advice before I got sent to prison. He said, just say yes or no. If the judge says, do you have any further comments or something you want us to say before I sentence you to 20 years in prison, Mr. Null, do you have anything to say? And my public defender, wonderful guy, I wish I knew his name. I've sent him like quiet prayers over the years for him and his wonderful advice. He said, simply state, Your Honor, I was a drug addict and I am a drug addict, and I apologize for any inconvenience. And yes, sir, I plead guilty of the charges, and I stand before you and ask you for forgiveness. Thank you. It wasn't forgiveness, leniency. That's what it was. And I ask you for leniency, Your Honor. And so it was like, when that gavel comes down and it hits hard and he says, I sentence you, Mr. Null, to 20 years in prison, I almost shit on the floor. And then he said, but because of your good behavior and because of the recommendations of the court, by your prompt and honorable behavior before this court today, I sentence you to 1 year and a day to be served in the Hillsborough County Prison, which meant I didn't have to go to state prison, which meant I served my state time at the Hillsborough County Jail because I was one of the lead cooks. I was in charge of all the meat that went in and out of the freezer. I was in charge of all the vegetables, all the canned goods. I was the stock room guy. And the person who worked in the kitchen, the sergeant, was from South Georgia. And I knew his nephews and nieces in Ellington, Georgia. And he said, no! He was a little short, fat, happy man, but sergeant, 25 years in the Navy. No! That'll get your ass over here. Well, you know some of my youngins up there in South Georgia? And I'm telling you, he talked like this. Yes, sir, Mr. Castleberry. Yes, sir, Sarge. He sounded gruff, but every Sunday he would come in to do the menus, and he bought a case of sweet potatoes for him and me. And so when he came in on Sundays, I would have his sweet potatoes cut, sliced, and when he walked up them elevators and them elevator doors opened, I'd drop them sweet potatoes into that hot grease. And by the time he could open up the office and get things sorted out and holler at me across the kitchen there a few times, what the hell's going on in this kitchen, Mr. Dog? I had his sweet potatoes coming out of the deep fryer and onto the plate. He loved brown sugar and sugar on top. And we'd go in there and sit. That man saved me from going to state prison and serving 20 years. But it was because of my cooperation. I knew a lot of stuff going back and forth in there. So I understand what goes on. You can just write a letter to the judge in the proper form. I was released early because I did that same thing. And I had the backing of the corporal and the sergeant in that prison there in Tampa. Now, folks say, that's a jail. Prisoners from state prison said that Hillsborough County Jail was one of the worst they'd ever been in. So I served my time, I got out, but I know things that other folks don't. And this guy, this POS today, he's as guilty as guilty. And they need to throw him out. They need to demote him. They need to take away his FBI rights. That man should never walk back in an FBI office anywhere unless they're going to arrest him. He is a disgrace. And for anyone that defends that simple fact, forget all these other things, forget all the other allegations. He broke his oath of office. His oath of office. Like I just said, I've been fired for less, and so have other people. Fire the man, get him out, and that's it. But have fun watching. Being humble is a rare trait. Makes, let's see, last one. I'm sorry, I got way off on a tangent. We all need it. And the goddess has rewarded you with her beautiful hair. My hair? Oh, Miss Pamela, thank you. I want to give a mentioned hair, and it's just as a beauty tip. If you, not you personally, but you out there, whoever may listen to this, if you're using any type of soap other than maybe like ivory soap or something, a very basic soap, stop it. If you're using shampoo in a bottle and there is any kind of Loramate, if it has ATE at the end of it, stop using it. Okay. Now, I was told this many years ago. There are a lot of shampoos and things that have formaldehyde in them. And I used to have dandruff all the time. And I had a friend of mine who's an herbalist, lives in North Georgia. I'm hoping Dale's still alive. And he was like, Dave, he said, I quit using shampoo. He said, I use a conditioner because his hair is real long at the time. I don't know. This is 5 years of growth right here. He said, I only use a conditioner now. And I just use simple conditioners because the soap and was doing the thing with the scalp, and I could never get rid of dandruff. He goes, I never shampoo my hair anymore. I wash it with just water and a rinse. And he goes, every few days I'll use a little conditioner. Now, he really lived in the woody woods, and with no electricity in his cabin, everything was water, hand, you know. Now, just down the road, 100 feet or so, okay, maybe 200 feet, was a house and electricity in his shop. So he did, but his personal house and everything was just very basic and rugged. Lots of crystals, lots of old windows and things up there in the hills in North Georgia. So anyway, and I was like, So I couldn't get rid of the dandruff, regardless of the dandruff shampoos, whatever I did, I couldn't get rid of the dandruff until I stopped using shampoo. And I have no more problems with dandruff, period. So if any of you have dandruff, have any type of issue like that, who's listening to this, stop using shampoo. You can wash your hair with a little bit of a conditioner, which is actually better for your hair. Find the stuff with the least ingredients. And the egg yolks and stuff like that. I've whipped up some stuff. I got chickens and I got probably 7 dozen eggs in the refrigerator right now. I'm feeding the old ones to the cats and back to the chickens because I haven't been able to eat enough. And I used to sell them, blah, blah, blah. I got lots of eggs. So I'm looking for different things to use with eggs, you know. And but one of the things is anything that has any kind of loramide or stuff like that, I've noticed that will have an effect on your scalp. And there are other things that are attached in there that actually have like a formaldehyde base to them. And formaldehyde, they put in dead people. And they shouldn't do that either, but that's what they do. So why would you pour that on your hair? Good question, you know. So just pay attention. I don't have dandruff anymore. My hair, my head, my scalp doesn't itch. Almost never. Now, when it's real hot like it is right now, yeah. That was kind of a joke. You do have lovely hair. Ha ha ha. See, but that's okay. And I'm supposed to be funny. I need this so bad. Losing another high school classmate to cancer. Man, that's sad. And you know, I made a statement earlier in a different video. I said on my Facebook thing, and I was telling people about their faith and this, that, and the other thing. And I said, you know, there are people with faith who've healed their cancer by changing the pH in their body. And I have a friend that I've known for 30 some years. Okay. I think I met him about the time I moved here. So I've been on this property 35 years. So I've known him for 34. So, but anyway, he's been cancer-free since March, beginning of April. And because he signed this contract, he has to take, he will have 3 more after this week. He has to take 3 more treatments because he signed a contract with these buttholes. He goes, well, if I don't get the rest of the treatments, I can be liable for all the money. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah. He said, I made a deal with the devil. He said, the surgeon said, if I didn't take all of the treatments, if I didn't take all the chemo, that he wouldn't sew me back together again. And I was like, you're kidding. So the surgeon doing the ambu baggy thing on the side where they take your colon, blah, 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 is in somehow cahoots with these folks who are selling these god-awful chemicals they're poking at folks to kill the cancer. These chemicals are more potent than the cancers are. So my friend has still 3 more of these things to go, and he's been cancer-free for 3 months now. What the hell? This ain't right. It ain't right. And he signed an agreement. I mean, I'd be like, wait a minute. Can I sue you guys for collusion or some kind of crap? Because this don't sound right. So I'm going to come down to these remarks here. Yeah, I'm really sorry about it, Mark. Yes, there are folks right now, and you might want to look at this in a different way. I know I've had to. They may be given the choice to check out now because they're so weak. And whatever the issue, And it may be that their soul contract is up, that they were going to get this far because of all these energies and changes and so forth. Now, to the contrary, my friend Randy, he said he had a religious experience while he was in the hospital, and that he knew he was going to live, and he knew that he had something he was going to do. And as soon as he gets well enough, I'm going to drag his butt onto YouTube, and you're going to see the Randy and Dave show. Two old rednecks down here from South Georgia, and between the two of us, we'll keep you rolling in laughter, just me and him talking. It's craziness between the two of us. We used to do radio down here in the country years ago, but now everything's on the bird. But the thing is, I'd barbecue with you too. Latte 1983. Even though I don't eat meat much, boy howdy, there's just something about a good slab of ribs cooked over pecan fire. Oh my God. If you've never had ribs on a pecan fire, you don't know what you're missing. Oh my goodness. I'm down here in South Georgia. If you ever all get down here, I got 18 acres, plenty of places to camp, crash, or whatever. So, you know, as long as you're respectful, that's all I ever ask of folks, is to be respectful. And so many people do. They fear the connection the indigenous have with the planet and each other. You're absolutely right, Miss Pamela. Absolutely right. On the Facebook video I did today, I spoke about the same thing. White people don't get it. You know, and I'm glad that I'm probably at least 40, maybe even 50% of Native American because of my grandmothers, great-grandmothers, and so forth from up in the hills in Kentucky and West Virginia and Virginia. That's where my original family come from. I was adopted by my uncle. My last name should have been Lee. I followed my traditions, and I do have connections to the wonderful man called Robert E. Lee. I know he was a Southern general, but he was a gentleman. He was a gentleman. He was a gentleman, period. He loved his Virginia. And when the feds decided they was going to cross the Potomac, he stood up for his Virginia. He stood up for his homeland, and they called that man a traitor. Arlington used to be Washington's home, was a gift to the Washington. It was his granddaughter that Robert E. Lee married. So the feds actually condemned their home, threw them off their property after the war, and turned it into the cemetery, not only to piss off the Washington family that Robert E. Lee had married into, who hit Robert E. Lee actually has ancestors going back to the Knights of the Round Table. I checked. I was amazed and flabbergasted. But to this point, though, and I've been able to do the lineage. I haven't been able to get all the names yet together. They want too much damn money for this crap. I've got relatives in Ohio, though, that have the information. They just haven't sent it to me, but it's there. The fact that I understand that the connection is there is all I really need. Do I need to prove that I am an actual descendant of Robert E.? Well, my birth certificate says my father was Cicero Lee, so that means I have Lee genes in me. Lee genes. I hadn't thought about that one. But to the point, though, and I've done a lot of study about Robert E., and I have followed the traces of Robert E. to Western Virginia, not West Virginia, but Western Virginia next to Kentucky. And the Lee family's history goes back to the same place, the doctor in Virginia, which was a grandson of Lee, which would be the connection. One of the grandchildren, I'm pretty sure, ended up being a doctor in Virginia. So to the point, that's where the two meet. Now, what does that mean? It means that I have a love for my country. I have a love for my home. Now, my home is down here in Georgia, but it also shows the tyranny, quote, of the feds. They threw the man out of his home, took all of his money, sold all of his slaves, bankrupt the man because he decided to defend his Virginia. He was a traitor. And they turned his house and all his property into the cemetery that it is today, where JFK is buried. What a slap in the face to a great general, a great man. Why do I say that? Because he rode with his men. His men said they respected him. They would follow him anywhere. Him and his trusty horse that I can't remember the name of right now. They want these, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to say it. These libtards want to take his, what they carved on Stone Mountain, the General Lee and some of the Southern generals. They want to blast his face and all of that off of the mountain. Now, I'm sorry, but when war is war, war is war. There are heroes and losers on both sides. But you want to erase all of the history? There were things that some of them Southern generals did that they didn't go in and rape and pillage the North, but the North came in and raped and pillaged the South like you would not believe. Oh, but they're the Northerners. They were the Reconstructionists. They were the carpetbaggers. So they destroyed the South and tried to destroy the heritage. And they proved it by taking Robert E.'s property, which was the property of Washington, our first president. Duh. So they mocked him as well, like, shove it up yours too, buddy. We're the North and we can do this. How outrageous is that? So, and that was the last Civil War. You don't think these buttholes will do something like that again and aren't trying to do it now? Duh. I've done my history lessons. I'm sorry. Let me get back to here. So many, did you say, Mark, I don't know if you're still on. If you're still there, Mark, what state or town? Don't be specific. I just want a general location so I can narrow down my prayers. I'm going back to see if it was there. I didn't see where you're from. Hi, Cassie James. I just noticed you were there. You're in Kentucky. Pamela, did he say where he was from? Because I want to narrow down my prayers. That's all. Oh, peace out. Okay, never mind. All right. It seems like the act of the lie forced the consciousness to fool itself into believing all are blind. Yes, that's why we are to hear you speak. They all have the animal protein at the very least. AFL. We have NAG champagne soap and cleansing product. NAGA, gotcha. Glycerin soap, yep. I don't know if he alkalizes pH. I can't stand behind these people and beat them to do it, you know, but every time I talk to my friend or anybody, I'm like, get you some baking soda. What's it going to cost you? And gag it down and get your pH up. It'll happen right away. The contract strictly stipulate no suicide. Sounds great. Always, all love, always. Who, me? I've read the Constitution a couple of times, 3 or 4 times at least. And I reread it just to keep up. Greetings, Cassie. What end of the state of Kentucky are you in? My family comes from Hazard County, Kentucky, and I'm trying to remember the town. I was shocked when I found out that, you know, I was from, you know, Hazard County, Kentucky. I just, you know, personal hee ha ha joke. But I have memories of a child, Eastern Kentucky. Me too. That's where well, if you go up 75, there's a big intersection. Anyway, I would be more Eastern Kentucky. And I think Eastern Kentucky is absolutely beautiful. I've been up that parkway through the mountains up there, up to the Ohio River up there. That's a gorgeous ride. And I've been that way twice, actually 3 times, going up and then coming back to Georgia. And then a couple of years ago, we went straight north, but came back that way. I think it's beautiful up there. Yeah, how is it in the rest of the world? Um, I know there's some of these folks that are just absolutely being crazy, and I saw these protesters in London, England, I guess, that are standing out there with these signs against Trump, and I'm like, what? I mean, we don't want war. You know, Trump's a warmonger. What? He's trying to negotiate peace with North Korea. How is he trying? How you're pissed off because he's again? What? Hang on, wait. Where are you guys? So these folks are carrying signs about Trump that, I mean, even the dumbest Democrat ought to know. Well, wait a minute. I never heard Trump talk about let's go start a war. You know, trade war, yes, but these people need to pay up what we've been screwed for. Yeah, it's going to take a little while for them to get their, but everybody's got their panties in a wad because Trump's standing up for America, damn it. And I'm sorry, I support him for that. A bunch of us lost our jobs to Mexico because of the NAFTA and the Bill Clinton and the George Bush era. We all lost out big time down here in South Georgia. And I know other people lost out too. I mean, when I was talking with Brian at Milky Way Weekly, they lost their jobs to Mexico, and they're up in Tennessee, up there in the corner, near Kentucky and up in that way. Anyway, but to the point though, people all across the United States have lost good paying jobs, and I'm sorry if I'm an ex-Democrat now, which I obviously am because I don't support anything these idiots are talking about. I'm going to stand behind this president. And at this particular moment, he seems to be my president because he's doing what I would do. I would stand up to these nutsos and say, enough is enough. You guys you want fair trade, then we let our stuff come in you let our stuff come in for free, then maybe we'll let your stuff come in for free. And it's the other way around. If you want to buy a Ford product or a Chrysler product that's made here in the United States, it's almost impossible. The shipping and the import duties and all this stuff, that's what they're talking about. The import duties and things. I mean, a friend of mine talked about going into, he was just visiting in Mexico. He had to put up because his truck was like 2 years old, he had to post a bond on his vehicle that he would take it out of the country with him when he left. Because people are bringing in vehicles without paying the tax on it. And he was talking about, I had to write this check out. And he said, there's no way I could, if they would have tried to cash that or something. He goes, I didn't have $6,000, but that was the bond they wanted on his vehicle. And he was just visiting Mexico. He was going down to pick up his wife and come back across the border, be gone about 2 weeks. And he was like, Dave, man, that's ridiculous. Now, when Mexicans and people come into the United States, do we put a bond on their cars? No. But that's what they do to us. Duh. And people are like, oh, well, it's just this. No. No. If you're going to play these games against us, then Trump is going to say, I'm sorry, but I'm standing up for America. How can you be pissed at that? It's because a lot of people don't have all the information. That's why. It's like, do you know about the tariffs they put on Americans if they drive a newer type vehicle into Mexico? Do you know about these things? Do you know what the federales do to Americans and blah, 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 blah? No? Then shut up. Quit talking about something you don't know anything about. And if Trump's trying to equal the playing field, yeah, it's going to hurt for a little while. And some of these people might even, I know he's like, we're going to raise the tariff on steel coming in. Well, now the thing that I disagree with is the timing. They should have got our steel companies back up and running first before they put the tariffs on. Now, they can still negotiate, But now people who are buying steel to try to make a product to even sell here, their cost just went up because it's going to trickle down. It might only be a dime per pound, whatever it might be. But now they have to absorb the cost on the manufacturing side, because I was in manufacturing. I understand this stuff. And so that when this stuff is imported, you're going to have to pay a little more. So somebody's going to have to pay for it down the line. Now, these idiots that run some of these corporations, though, what might cost a dime, they're going to charge you $2 for. Oh, our price went up. So now to the point, though, with the steel, Bethlehem Steel and some of these other steel corporations that went out of business because of Clinton and George Bush, they need to go back up and running, and they are restarting. But the problem is it takes a little time for things to get going, okay? So the tariffs should be reduced to make sure there is not a shortage and a harm to current manufacturing here in the United States. But as soon as we got ours up and running, they need to say, okay, that's it. If we can meet the production demands again in our own country, okay, that's it. Until that time, they need to reduce them, make it not, they can work this out. But the thing is that Trump gave them the option and they rejected everything. And now he just finally put his foot down and everybody's ticked off at him. He gave them a choice. He said, come on, let's work this out. And said they wanted, they just gave him the finger and said no. So now he's put his foot down. And this is the kind of moronic behavior is going on. As I was speaking earlier, we need to use Mr. Spock language. We need to use Mr. Spock logic. We need to say, look at the facts, Mr. Captain. I'm looking at the facts here. And the facts state that this is what this is. And this man was guilty. He did write these things. He was a member of the FBI, and he did break his code of honor. Sir, those are the facts. And the resulting facts are when you read to the next paragraph down, this man should be fired, lose his benefits, and never enter an FBI office again. Do you agree, Captain? Yes, sir, Mr. Spock. Make it happen. Aye, aye, Captain. To the brig with you, baby. So, well, with that said, see, so all of these crazy things that are going on to all these other people, I got thrown in jail for a lot less. Really did. A joint? Oh, come on. You know, I have a prison record. I smoked marijuana and got caught with it. Okay. All right. Serve time in jail, can't get a job, got to go through this, pee in a can, blah, 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 having nothing to do with how smart I am and how good I am. I'm not book learning smart. I'm smart with machines. But you're just going to say that I'm no good because blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I got to cut this here in a few, but I would like to come back on. Oh, can I take a poll with you folks that are here? Milky Way and I were discussing last night after we got off the live show that to do something on tomorrow night on Friday the 13th. And I was like, well, you know, there is a meditation going on tonight, and kind of it's around the new moon, which is also supposed to be an eclipse or something. Okay, like tonight, or maybe it's already happened. But to that point, it was discussed Friday the 13th, and I said, well, you know, maybe we could just do a ghost story night. I've got lots of ghost stories. Oh, man. Some of the ghost stories are my personal things that I have met, seen with ghosts. And others are stories that I've collected from down here in the South, meaning Alabama, like north of me is Andersonville. There's a troop of ghosts up there. And I've been to Andersonville several times as a puppeteer. And I would stay to see if I could see any of the apparitions hanging around. And let me tell you, there's some strange things in some strange places. So, but I'm asking, would you think that it would be appropriate in any way that 13th is your lucky day and night? Cool. Would you think it appropriate to tell ghost stories tomorrow night as a live thing? You grew up not far from where the Jersey Devil came from. That's cool. You think, Phoebe, you think that'd be awesome? Anybody else remarks? See, I understand. I see. I also understand too that the 13th is used in nasty rituals. But I think that if you were actually born on a Friday the 13th, holy mackerel, girl! Wow, that's interesting. A university might find these young oracles to be held in high esteem. So we got yes, yes, I have ghost stories too. I'm close to the Mothman. Cool beans. I guess. I guess. Sometimes being close to an anomaly like that could be a little bit more too much on the weird side. Um, well, I don't. I know that Brian and I were discussing being on tomorrow night. In fact, I need to check my email and so forth. But um, I love to share ghost stories. In fact, there was a friend of mine, my friend Mr. Randy, that I've known for 30 some years. We both worked in the same radio stations on different shifts, or some of them were AM, FM. He'd be on the AM, or I'd be on the AM, and he'd be on the FM. Sometimes we were on the air at the same time. But anyway, we had another friend of ours through the same. Good night, Miss Pamela. Uh, I lived in a haunted house too, Miss Cassie, for real. It's haunted around this area by as well. Have a good night, Miss Pam. Wait, did I get that right? Yes. Okay. Yes. Have a good night, Miss Pamela. Um, good dreams, blessings, and all. Um, but anyway, was able to, this third gentleman literally traveled around and interviewed people. I've done some of that as well, but he was like really into it. Wrote a book about Southern ghost stories, and he was a mutual friend of Mr. Randy and I. We were just three old DJs kind of deal. And but when Halloween and Friday the 13th would come along, he would pull out all of these wonderful ghost stories. And we played a trick on him one night that I think I'm going to wait until tomorrow. You lived in several haunted places, went to a psychic and showed him a picture of the house. It had 5 entities. Well, the house I lived in out near Berlin, Georgia, spelled like Berlin, but, you know, us Southerners, we speak differently down here. It was the sick house. Little nasties would come up out of the floor. That's not nice. You got a lot of old houses there, and that's in eastern Kentucky, right? Yeah, I've seen some of them places up in the hills and stuff. But down here in the south in southern Georgia, they've got these 2- and 3-story with an attic. Not all of them are 3-story, but a lot of them have an attic that's like its own floor. In fact, I converted one attic into a full living space one time for as a contractor in Thomasville. But so I've seen some really creepy things in some of these houses I've worked on. I've been in some houses to plumbing and electrical and etc. And some of the stuff that are in these houses are just literally walk into a room and it'd be just so cold and the hair stand up on your arm. And I'm like, okay, I need no more information. Something's here, and be nice. I'll be nice. As soon as I'm done, I'm out of here. And depending on the owner, I would say, do you know that you got a cold spot in that room? Or maybe they will, some of the people that I've known who've now passed away, they would say, I've got a cold spot, Mr. Dave, up there in that room. Go up there and see what you're talking about. Because a lot of us are open-minded enough, especially if you've lived in an old house and have seen apparitions of sorts. Unless they're an evil apparition, the best thing for you to do is just simply make friends with them. Be nice to them. Give them respect, because that's probably what they didn't get in their 3D life, okay? That's what I found out with, now, not all of them like this, but if you, even the nasty ones, basically, they're nasty because somewhere down the line they didn't get enough respect and they're pissed about it, even if it was in a previous life of them. So if you show respect, and I don't mean weakness, I mean respect and honor. Look, I know you're an entity. I know you're there, and you're a little on the, dark side there, but, I see you, and I understand you. I understand where you're coming from. And that might be a minor line, but you understand that there is something that makes them dark. That's a true fact. So you can tell the truth without going on a bunch of detail, which is what that moron did today in court. Going back to him. But so, but to make amends, not friends, but amends. Like, look, I promise to respect your spot. I promise to honor you. If you will please give us honor. Can we share the same space? Now, I'm saying this because I literally talked to a ghost and asked for that and received it. And that ghost saved our lives when the house burnt down. So I know this, and it works. It's worked in other situations. So for those who might be listening to this right now, but anyway, I really got to go feed my chickens. They're really hungry, and I haven't made it out there yet. So I wish to say love to you all. Check in later. Hang out with me. I love to hear ghost stories. Our friend that we are the third party, he passed away, and he didn't show up for work. He only worked the weekends, and he would work 12-hour shifts to Saturday and Sunday, and he wrote books and did things on the side. He went home from work on Sunday night and passed away, and nobody found him almost till the next week. It was really sad. But he was our good friend, and Randy and I both have sort of felt his presence around because we told ghost stories. And Dan Trout was his name, yes. And he wasn't married or anything like that, lived by himself, but he was a good guy. He loved ghost stories and radio and playing music and traveling the South and searching these places and old houses and mysteries. And he was a great guy. And he sadly missed because those of us who really liked his odd way of thinking, it's like, well, Dan, we don't have Dan around anymore. So maybe tomorrow will be a slight tribute to my old friend Dan Trout and some of the stories and things that, and I'm talking about, these are stories that a lot of people have seen down here in the South. Now, I may not have the town correct, but the story will be correct. Okay, so I don't have his reference books. They were lost. I had some of his books, and during the time that I had homeless people staying here, a lot of things went missing, and just seems to be that all those books of his, of ghost stories, of the Southern ghost stories, are all gone, oddly enough. But so I still remember basics. I may not remember the family name or the town, but I remember the incident. And the incident is what's more important than the actual other, town, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, and I can, be really close with the time frame and stuff like that. So if you want to hang out, it might be, I would love to share a chat. Now, I use the Google thingamajiggy hangout thing. And I would be glad to invite someone on if you wanted to share a story, whether you want to be on camera or not. That's okay. I get it. But you could, I've tried to have people on with me. And so it would be a lovely experiment because I really would like to learn how to do this. It's something my brain needs to do, and I'll probably have to do it a couple of times now. But so anyway, but if you want to share a story live, if you would like to try it out, then I'm welcome to that. So just saying. All right, let me out of here for now. All right. I've run out of coffee. My drink has gone warm, and my chickens have almost gone to bed, and I need to go turn the light on for them so they can have an evening snack. You think it would be cool? All right. Well, listen, folks, I really do love you. And I'm going to try to be more upbeat and funny with some things. Wait, I missed something. Oh, I missed something. Went to a psychic. Okay. Yes, all the old railroad trail houses. Yeah, that too. That place, I think, was built in 1902. It was by Corson's Inlet, our landlord, Mr. Corson himself. I have to pass them on. Not good to have them around. All else fails. Move. I always thought because of my birthday being things were attracted to me. Could be, but it could be your energy as well. You might have other abilities. Yep, you do, Miss Phoebe. I can tell, and I've not met you. It's just there. And Miss Phoebe, you say you suppressed many years. Do I have to deal with it? Are you saying you're dealing with your suppressed energies or dealing with suppressed entities? Or did you already leave? Because this is the time now. This is the time now where we must not hold anything in. We have to let this energy flow through us. I've talked about this before, and I'm going to do some more updates on it. But we need to let this energy go through us. But as it's going through us, it's as the energy passes through us and around us right now, it's going to make us tingle. And if we allow it and drop our guard, now I don't mean drop our guard as in different entities, but I mean allowing our brain to accept these new energies coming in. So if we drop our guard and stop fighting this rock and roll high, low, high, low, high, if we just say, okay, it's here, and let it go through. And I've discussed in another video, and I'm going to do another one that's going to be more short and to the point, about how to focus on these particular frequencies and how we, oh, you're so bottled up, you knock power out. Well, that's not good for a bunch of reasons. And, you know, it's really hard on the body, you know what I'm saying? Internal organs and things. But now that the atmosphere and everything is being agitated with all this extra magnetism and other sources of energies and things, it's that allowing these energies to pass through us is sort of like water through a screen or something, you know, a little bit will cling as it passes through. But so you're going to like get wet, you're going to get showered with these energies, but think of yourself more as a screen. So whatever is left after the main waves go through, you're going to get the results of that. Okay. But at the same time, you're not a brick wall or a glass wall. You're not a wall. If you try to stop any of this or hold this energy in, knock you down, blow you up, whatever it is. Okay. So try to think as in screen. The energy, the water hits the screen. Some of it gets a little bit of pressure. Can't stop that. You might make the screen holes bigger so more water passes through. You would collect less, but at the same time, you would also get the feeling that you will be picking this energy up sort of vicariously rather than trying to trap it. Allow it to go through the screen. Allow it to, it's going to pass through us anyway. Plus, the community is guarded by storms. They just wishbone around us. My own protection field. Would have to ask Mother Nature, please water the gardens. Yep. When that happens, I know some folks that have done that sort of bottling up kind of thing, and it's like, you know, Mother Nature will equalize you, and I've discussed that about how to one hand blah blah blah. Tomatoes are rotting on the vine here. Any thoughts? It depends. Is it a blight? I know my tomatoes refuse to grow now. I mean, if I put them outside or whatever, and I mean, they come up and they start, and it's like I'm using the same water. I'm using the same type of potting mix that I've used before, which is like chicken manure and dirt from a special place and, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it's like they come up, they start to flower. And I've got a tomato plant that's sitting over there that's this tall that won't go anywhere. I've repotted it. I've used different water. Now, I got well water out of the ground here. I mean, you know, it's not spring water, but it's good water. I'm not dead, but it's like nothing I do. These tomato plants are like refusing to grow inside or out. They come up, but I've noticed also that I've got leaves on my oak tree right outside that are being burnt to a crisp and are falling early. My yard's like littered with brown leaves that shouldn't be showing up for 2 more months. These leaves coming off the trees now should be here in September, not July, not now. and they're all over the yard. I've had to rake them up. I was like, what? You know, holy crap. So, and I did a little video portion about that, but that I think that the tops of the trees are taking a big hit, and that they're just literally getting fried by all the energies and the sun and the UVC, blah, 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 you know. And so good thing I'm sitting underneath this great big oak tree, because it's obviously protecting me in a lot of ways, you know, because of the dead leaves I see. So wonder what's going to happen for wintertime, you know. But anyway, so not on the ground. They start to turn just a bit. They rot at the bottom. Yet the cherry tomatoes are fine. Now, there are some tomato plants that are prone to this like root rot thing. I noticed that. Like some of the Beefmaster tomatoes, beefsteak, maybe there's one of each. But anyway, there also are like little nematode, little doody-doos that'll get in there and will crawl up inside the stem, and you won't be able to see them. You won't know they're there. Yeah, my chickens are growing impatient. Absolutely, Ice Station. They've had food, but I mean, you know, I try to make that my excuse, but it's true. I haven't fed them up good today. They've had really good food the last few days, and they're not starving. Trust me on that one. But you have to take the entire tomato plant out of the dirt completely and wash everything off of the roots. And you're going to think, oh my God, I'm going to kill it. No, tomatoes are normally hardy. Okay. I mean, you can break off part of a limb and it'll grow, you know, depending on the type of tomato, you know, they'll put little nodes on the sides and when they go down. But if they're rotting at the bottom, there's a lot of times there's a hidden insect or a worm that has gotten in that soil somehow that you can't see. I mean, it wiped out. I had all my tomatoes in separate things, and I had like 15 tomato plants. And I don't know how, but like 3 or 4 of them got infested with these little tiny wormy worms. And I was like watering and doing this thing. And I was like, and then I got online and I was like, well, what am I doing wrong here? I know there's some changes. And there's this one dude that does a lot of tomato indoor, outdoor, greenhouse kind of thing with lights. And he was like, you know, I got this infestation. It just so happened to be. And he said, I had to pull all my tomato plants out and wash them. And he was going inside his greenhouse. So whatever little nematode thingy it was got in. And it got into like a whole row of his tomatoes. It didn't infect them all because he had his own. They were all in their own individual containers that got watered individually. But so, you know, he didn't lose his whole crop, but he was told by an old timer, pull them tomatoes out, son, and wash them roots on, shove them back in. They'll grow. Now, they'll get stunted for a couple of days, but it's true. They'll come back. I mean, no matter how bad they are. So try that. There are other little diseases too, but there are several good homegrown organic sites on the internet. I can't tell you right now that deal with tomato blight and things like that. But my experience about things around the roots, usually some kind of vermin type thing related. And you just won't even know they're there. They're just so small and yet they're in the ground, and until you rinse all the dirt and throw that dirt away. I mean, now what I do with dirt like that is I will heat that dirt and kill anything in it so I can use it as a potting soil again. Now, I've been told that that actually might be a bad thing that I've been doing. But I'm like, yeah, but it's got all this good stuff in it. And it might be that I'm actually doing myself harm. But so I've been careful about like reusing my potting soil. But I do have my own. I got 18 acres and I got 12 chickens. You know, I got plenty of fertilizer. So, and going to the store and buying any potting soil for me is just like, duh, why? I'm on limited income. Why? That sounds stupid. But so with that though, also moisture too. That's true. It's better to keep now it depends on the size. If you've got small tomatoes on your tomato bush, it's better that you keep the ground slightly more moist because the tomatoes are sucking water really fast as they grow, even the small ones. Phoebe, I've gotten potting soil from the store that had nematodes and things in them. So just because you got it and it says starter doesn't mean that it isn't infected with something that was dormant in the soil when they packed it. Be careful. Just because it says so don't mean it's good. All right. Now, there are places down here in the South that like dig up sod and do things like that. And somebody got a section of sod that had some really bad insects in it. And they laid this millionaire's yard and everything with it and looked good. They watered it and everything. And then the bugs that were already in the soil hatched. And his whole 3/4 acre of lawn was ruined. And they had to go back in there, dig up all that sod and absolutely bury it and put it down because of what was these bugs or whatever got in that soil. And these are like really good growers and have been in the business for years. And it happened to them down here in South Georgia a couple of years ago, but still that's recent enough. But so be careful with those kinds of things. And we're getting stuff out of the sky we just don't know how to deal with. And the bugs. There are different types of moths, no butterflies, but moths. And it seems like some of them are carrying worms they're eating everything. And it's like one moth will lay a gazillion eggs. And me being the type of person, I've tried soaps, I've tried mouthwash, I've tried combinations, and these buggers just keep going. The only way to stop them is to swish them or feed them to the chickens. Horrible. And just in the last few years, and I mean, they're eating everything. Stuff I was like, wait, I've never seen a bug eat that plant before. And it's like, they're ferocious. And the good bugs, the bees and the flies and the things that pollinate, cucumbers and squash and stuff like that, they're not here. Now, where I live, there's a lot of cotton growing, and they have killed a lot of the bees and the insects through all this defoliation they do down here in South Georgia. They do it in other areas too, but my area is different. So even though the closest cotton field to me is 3/4 of a mile away, when they spray with the planes, it overdusts everybody. And the whole ecosystem down here in South Georgia, I have literally watched it die. Frogs are gone. I mean, stuff that's hard to kill, gone. You know, the river hasn't flowed and going on. This will be the 5th year if the river doesn't flow. And we had 6 inches of rain in 4 days, and the river still isn't flowing. What? It used to be that if we got 3 inches of rain, the river would flow. Where's all this water going? And I'm talking about my front yard out here was this deep in water coming down the hill. That water went down the hill and disappeared in the backyard. It never made it to any river or creek or anything. It just simply got sucked into Mother Earth. Oh my gosh. And I mean, it's fairly soft in the yard. And so it's like, but there should be enough water already in the earth to where some of this would do some more runoff, especially 6 inches in 4 days. Come on now. Some of that should have reached the river. Nope. River hadn't come up. Not a drop. I mean, even 6 inches rained on the river didn't bring the river up 6 inches. I mean, it's like, it's bizarre down here. So there are things that I would normally know the answer to that I look at and go, what the F? What the hell? What the crap? What the? Because there's like, it doesn't seem like there's a real answer to this. Things are changing. We know that. Okay, folks, I do love you. Good luck with the potting soil and good luck with the maters. I'm going to do an update on some of the, I'm trying to finish up my front porch greenhouse / grow room for vegetables. I wished I could grow weed down here. I've already been arrested for that. So it's like, well, anyway. It's your first garden. Okay. I'll try to give you as much honest to God, good organic type growing. XOXO to you too, Miss Phoebe, and all of y'all. Okay. Bye for now. See you later. And we'll discuss growing things as well.